Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Viking Wolf. Enjoy the movie. After relocating with her family to a new town called Nibo, a girl named Talee makes the decision to leave the house and hang out with some of her new acquaintances. After informing her stepdad, Arthur, where she's going, Liv, her mother, a police officer, questions her as well. She promises to try, but Liv instructs her to go home early. She shows up to a party soon after, accompanied by some youngsters. Then she runs across Jonas, a guy who greets her and inquires as to if she's having fun in the town. Although Talee finds the place a little monotonous, she has optimism that things will improve. Ellen, one of Jonas' pals, becomes envious at once when she hears him chatting to Talee. They are having a chat when she interrupts and requests to meet him alone. Talee accepts and he promises her he will come back. As they are leaving, a man called Vidar begins questioning her about the reason she and her family relocated to Nibo. Talee leaves when she feels uncomfortable with the questioning, primarily because it seems like he's making fun of her. As she strolls around, she overhears Jonas conversing with Ellen, who claims she has no idea why he brought the new girl to the celebration. Talee hears Ellen crying as she turns around, and upon looking around, she discovers that she is bleeding next to the bush. She heads over to assist her right away, but something assaults her in the process. Before she knows what's happening, Jonas, who also has blood all over his shirt, drags Ellen into the woods, and Talee can only sprint after him. Liv learns of the attack in the woods and shows up to the site a little later. Ellen is reported missing by her supervisor, Eilert, who gives her an instant update on the situation. Ellen is the mayor's daughter, therefore he continues, so it will be a significant case. Then, still in disbelief, he informs her that Jonas is one of the two witnesses. In addition, he states that Talee, the second witness, attended the party as well. When Liv hears this, she appears astonished and concerned. Eilert assures her that her kid is okay and that they should interview her about what she's seen. Liv sees her daughter at the rear of the ambulance and asks what occurred after he urges her to go ask the questions. However, Talee is likewise stunned and is unable to recall what transpired. Abruptly, Liv gets a call from Eilert asking her to come look at something. As she arrives, she notices bloodstains on the floor and notices a claw near the murder site as she looks around. After taking her kid home, Liv asks her again the next morning whether she remembers anything. Talee says she doesn't know what occurred, but she saw Ellen fall, and then she fell and landed on the ground. Liv and Eilert begin questioning every student present at the gathering later that day. They're still not getting enough information about what they're looking for, despite their repeated inquiry, but Jonas speculates that it may be an animal. That evening, Liv begins her investigation to determine whether animals have claws resembling the one she discovered. She phones her employer to let him know they need to send out a hunting team after realizing it's probably a wolf. But he claims he cannot do that until he is certain Ellen was taken by a wolf. The next day, their mother receives a call from her job informing her that he has located Ellen's body as Talee and her sister Jenny are eating breakfast. A while later, Liv and Eilert visit the coroner's office, where the coroner informs them that although Ellen's dead corpse had bite and claw marks, it is improbable that a wolf murdered her. She claims to have witnessed several wolf attacks in the past, but none of them had the same appearance. She then gives Liv instructions to phone a predator specialist. As Talee gets back to the attack area, she hears someone shouting her name as she looks around. She thinks she sees Ellen shouting her name as she gets closer, but it turns out that she is really having delusions. In another scene, William, a veterinary science professor, is addressed by his supervisor regarding a request to bring him over that he received from the Nibo police. He claims that the local youngster was murdered by a wolf, and the police are looking on him to assist him piece together the details. William responds that it's improbable as wolves don't murder people, but he still says he's willing to go have a look. Lars, a guy, breaks into the coroner's office that evening in order to view Ellen's body. Lars then goes to the police station in the morning and asks to speak with Liv about Ellen's death. He tells her when they first meet that he has been hunting werewolves for years and that's what she's searching for. He continues, calling the werewolf a ferocious beast that must be halted before it spreads to humans, but she doesn't think a word of it. Liv orders him to leave her office because she thinks he's making something up. He informs her where to find him when she's ready to hunt the animal, but he still agrees to go. He also advises her to seek for areas where wolves can hide, such as caves or holes, if she is searching for the werewolf before leaving. In addition, he hands her a unique bullet, claiming it is the only one capable of dispatching the beast. He slyly places a load of bullets inside her jacket as she examines it, then walks away. Talee meets Jonas in a restaurant at another location. She tells him he doesn't have to apologize for allowing her into the mess at the party, but he does. She tells him she hasn't been the same since it happened and he admits he still thinks about it. She leaves after their dinner only to run into Vidar and a few of his pals. He informs her that he has been hearing tales that she fled when she had the opportunity to save Ellen. He spots a bruise on Talee's shoulder as she prepares to depart, but she doesn't appreciate his suspicions, so he makes fun of it. Eventually, feeling uneasy, she walks away without Jonas, who is not happy with what Vidar done. Talee's parents are in the living room when she arrives home, and she immediately bolts to her room. Upon entering the restroom, she discovers that Ellen's bite mark from the animal that attacked her is still not healing properly. Liv knocks on the door while she sobs, but she instructs her not to go in. Talee is not happy when her mother interrupts her to find out what's wrong with her daughter. Liv notices her daughter's injuries as she tries to explain why she came in, but Talee assures her it's nothing serious and that she just needs to be left alone. While Talee blames Liv of abandoning her until her father passed away, her mother claims she thought they would have a new beginning in Nibo to work on their relationship. She goes for a room from the restroom before her mother has a chance to inspect her bruise once more. When Talee wakes up the next day, she seems extremely pale and begins to feel strange. As soon as she discovers she's running late for school, she bolts out. She is there gasping for air when Jason appears and asks how she is doing. He also apologizes for what Vidar did the other day, to which she responds that she is. In another scene, Professor William shows up in Nibo to visit Eilert and Liv. He informs them that Ellen's bite marks are all from the same animal as he examines her body. He remarks that everything suggests that Ellen was attacked by a wolf, even though the claw they discovered at the murder site is noticeably longer than a typical wolf's claw. Eilert promises to use this to obtain a hunting permit, allowing them to search the woods for the animal. Talee's sense of hearing is enhanced at school, and she becomes aware that she can hear pencil traces on paper. She cries as she witnesses one of her classmates' faces change into a wolf's, even though she's still not sure what's happening to her. The entire class looks at her oddly until it turns out that she is just having hallucinations. To have a respite, she heads to the bathroom, where she hears something behind one of the toilet doors. She unlocks it and sees Ellen, who accuses her of being the cause of her demise. When Talee realizes she is having hallucinations once more, she panics and flees the school. Concurrently, Eilert obtains a hunting permit and enlists Liv and a few other law enforcement officers to accompany him on the wolf hunt. Soon after they start looking about, they come across a dead guy with his head severed. They recognize it's the same animal when they notice the bite marks resemble Ellen's. They eventually come upon a cave, and Liv chooses to investigate inside. The ladder snaps as she reaches the bottom, causing her to tumble close to the body's torn head outdoors. She hears screams outside before having a chance to glance around, and it looks like the wolf is attacking the others outside the cave already. A gigantic wolf appears in front of her as she starts to climb back up, startling her. She is attacked by it and tumbles to the ground. She then starts firing at it as it approaches to kill her, but the wolf is unharmed. She quickly runs out of ammunition, and when she opens her jacket to retrieve another pack, she discovers that the bullets are Lars. She shoots the wolf before it reaches her. After surviving the attack, Liv is brought to the hospital for further testing. When she arrives to Eilert's room when she's finished, she discovers that he's still unconscious. Later on in the evening, Jenny notices her sister Talee standing outside the home and peering at her window. Talee doesn't appear to recall what occurred as she walks outdoors to bring her back inside. She claims it's because she's really exhausted, even though her sister informs her that she was sleepwalking. It's almost if she hasn't slept in months, she continues. After Jenny assures her sister that she would always be there, her sister abruptly nods off. When William has finished looking at the wolf the following day, Liv goes to visit him. When he shows her, she discovers that just one of the shots she fired had any effect on the wolf. It was Lars' bullet. Along with that, William demonstrates to her that the wolf has a nail growing out of the area where it lost one. He claims that he phoned a colleague about it, and the individual informed him that it must be a werewolf, even though he doesn't think werewolves exist. She looks bewildered. She and William visit the elderly guy as it sounds like what Lars had told her. He claims to have heard that they had finally slain the wolf when they arrive at his trailer. When Liv reveals the bullet that killed the animal to him, he chuckles to realize it was his own. Then she begs him to share his knowledge with William. Lars pulls out his book, which has all of the information he is aware of concerning werewolves, while William searches for a less fantastical explanation for what happened to the wolf. According to him, there was probably an unsuccessful attempt to breed humans with wolves to create them. A juvenile werewolf is motivated by blood, he continues, and it never stops killing humans. He states that the affected person's senses will be enhanced prior to the development of claws, pointed teeth, and a hairy face, and that the change process is slow. When Liv asks whether there's a way to stop the process, he responds that there isn't and that the person in question must be murdered. Jonas texts Talee later that night to ask if they can get together. She slips out of the home to meet him, even though she looks pale. He receives a call from his father while they are together, and the full moon appears as he heads outside to answer it. As Talee begins to feel uneasy, Jonas returns to see her and finds her lying on the ground. She yells for him to get away as he approaches, but when he doesn't, she attacks and murders him. Liv leaves for the crime scene after learning of another attack early the next morning. The fact that Talee is laying in the workshop adjacent to the home is hidden from her, though. She notices that her face has altered and that her teeth are not normal when she wakes up and looks into a mirror. William informs Liv at the murder scene that Jonas' body bears distinct bite marks than Ellen's. She then understands that there is more than one wolf in the village. After some time, Talee hides behind a bush close to the scene of the murder, where she observes Jonas' body being removed and breaks down in tears. Lars visits Eilert in the hospital somewhere else. Lars cuts off Eilert's life support since he has a bite mark from the wolf, ensuring that there won't be another werewolf. Talee, in the meantime, makes the decision to leave town and boards a bus that evening. But when the full moon reappears, she turns into a wolf and murders the majority of the passengers on the bus. A police radio communication alerting local law enforcement to allegations of a wolf attack is intercepted by Lars. Liv makes the decision to investigate the crime site because it is nearby. Upon arriving, she witnesses individuals fleeing from the bus. She nonetheless proceeds to investigate what's going on, and upon boarding the bus and noticing Talee's attire and necklace, she learns that her daughter has become the next werewolf. When William also shows there, she informs him it's her daughter and that he discovered human DNA that matches what killed Jonas. When Jenny notices that the wolf's eye color resembles her sister's, Talee returns to the home and is ready to attack her. Arthur enters the home and assaults Talee just as she discovers that she has turned into a wolf. He manages to free Jenny from the home, allowing them to escape before the wolf pursues them. However, it seems that he has been bitten as he begins to lose a lot of blood. After a while, he loses control of the vehicle and crashes near a pub where Vidar and his pals are having a drink. Before he faints, Arthur instructs Jenny to find a place to hide. However, she notices Talee preparing to attack Vidar and his companions as she gets out of the car. First, Talee goes to murder Vidar, then, she goes to kill a few more individuals. When Liv claims she can't murder her kid in response to a radio report regarding another attack, William responds that he has some tranquilizers with him. Jenny, meantime, approaches Talee as she is devouring someone. At some point, she turns to face her sister and watches as Jenny begins to cry and assure her that she will be taken care of. Talee becomes calmer as a result, but as soon as Liv and William arrive, Talee becomes agitated once more. William gives her a tranquilizer shot, but it doesn't make her feel any better. Liv dashes into a store with Jenny and William before attacking them. Lars arrives as she tries to break in, intending to murder her by driving his car through the store's entryway, but all he manages to do is strike Liv and William. Before he realizes what's going on, Talee appears and murders him. She then moves closer to Liv and bites her mother's hand without pausing. Liv orders William to give the werewolf another tranquilizer injection as she tries to bite it off. Jenny snatches it up out of the blue and stabs her sister with it since he's trapped from the accident and can't reach it. Jenny gives her mother a hug as they both sob after Talee passes out. The following day, Liv arrives sobbing and apologizes to Talee, who is still comatose in the lab. After removing one of Lars' rounds and inserting it into her own gun, she murders her daughter. She returns home later that day and enters Talee's room. She drops the bullet she used on the drawer and looks at her daughter's picture after sitting on the bed.